What's up, guys? Nick here, and I'm back with another Top 10 Tuesday. This week I'm going to be mentioning my top 10 Metroid games. Now, this was a very hard list for me to make because all the Metroid games are very good, and there are some that are bad. But I decided to make this list just because to look at the good Metroid games, unlike the upcoming Metroid Prime Federation Force, which is coming out next year, I think, and it looks terrible. And to be honest, I don't really think it's a real Metroid game, since Samus is not playable as long as we know. I was actually going to make this list after the game came out, but I was like, nah, it's not going to make the top 10 list. But anyway, I'm going to be rating these games on how big they were, when release date, the replay value, the collectibles, any new techniques or features. But yeah, so let's get right into it with number 10. At number 10, we have the original Metroid on the NES, which started back almost 10 years ago. Now, this one is at number 10 because, well, it's the one that started it all, but I feel like it's not the best because Metroid, the original, it didn't have a map. There weren't that many power-ups. There wasn't any screw attack. There was no speed booster. There was an ice beam, a wave beam, and all that stuff. But it's the one that did start it all, but yet there weren't that many features, and it's the only Metroid game where the various suit is white. But yeah, that was a cool touch. And also, it was the first game that we learned that Samus is a girl, and that was a huge shocker to everyone. Anyway, at number 9 we have Metroid Prime Hunters for the DS. Now, this was a disappointing game. It was a Metroid Prime game, sadly, and it is the worst Metroid Prime game. And it was on the DS, but the controls were a bit wacky. There weren't really that much of a story. There wasn't. I don't think there was a Ridley boss battle, and most of the time when you play Metroid, there's always a Ridley boss battle, except for this game. And then on top of that, the only good thing that I liked about this game was the Wi-Fi, where you can play it with other players online, but yet you can't do that anymore because Nintendo Wi-Fi C shut down a year ago. Anyway, at number 8 we have Metroid 2 Return of Samus. Now, this was actually a surprising game that was really fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. It is a very fun game. It is a bit hard to know where you're going, but when you do know where you're going, there are a lot of great collectibles. There are save points. There are points where you can restore your missiles, and there are also points that you can restore your health, which were introduced in this game. This was also the first game to introduce the various suit in its form that we all know and love, and just really liked it, and it really showed Samus's bounty hunting skills, where she's hunting down, I think it's 30 Metroids, and there weren't that many bosses. That's why it's pretty low on the list. The only bosses there were the ones were the Metroids. Some of them, they got harder over as time progressed because you got stronger, so they got stronger. And then fighting the final boss was a bit disappointing, but it was actually pretty hard to figure out, to go into the Mother Metroid's mouth and bomb her belly. Anyway, another thing that I like to mention is Project AM2R, which is another Metroid 2 remake, and you can just see the comparison, and it is just my favorite fan game. It's beautiful looking, and I'm counting this on the list. At number 7, we have Metroid Other M. Now, A bunch of you guys hate this game, but to be honest with you, I actually like this game. It's the one that introduced like all the bosses and combined them. Like you got the Metroid Fusion Nightmare in this game. You also have the Super Metroid, the what's it called, the pirate ghost ship or whatever it was, and he looks enormous and has that giant eye, and it was just I just really liked it, and the art style I loved. The only thing that I don't like, and most people also don't like, is the story. But I just love the whole like concept of Samus working with the Galactic Confederation. But there were some like stupid parts where like Samus was always talking about the baby, and she was like so surprised when she saw Ridley. And then we got that Anthony guy, which he came out of nowhere. But it did also show us how Adam Malkovich died, which was later in Metroid Fusion in the timeline. But yeah, I mean, it's a love-hate relationship. Like I compare Metroid Other M to like the Subspace Emissary in Metroid. I know, not Metroid. Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Like some people like the Subspace Emissary and even loved it in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I'm one of those people, and then other people hate it. And the same thing goes with Metroid Other M. But anyway, at number 6 we have Metroid Zero Mission. Now this, people say it's a remake of the original Metroid, and I don't really disagree with that. There are some different concepts, but just because it was on the NES, it looks like a totally new game. And there are some new concepts with it at the end. Spoiler, you play as Zero Suit Samus and you go stealth mode. But yeah, this was also the first one to introduce Meta Ridley, and that's pretty awesome. I also just love the art style of this game too, just like Metroid Other M. Also, I loved how they added it in the Subspace Emissary, like I said before. As I mentioned, the Subspace Emissary, but in Subspace Emissary, you got to play with Pikachu and Samus, where the space pirates, or should I say like the Robs or something, stole Samus's outfit, and you play as Zero Suit Samus and Pikachu, and you find a Pikachu actually, and you team up and defeat the Dark Samuses and get your power suit back, which I thought that was an awesome detail that they added in there as a reference to Metroid Zero Mission. But anyway, at number 5 we have Metroid Prime Echoes. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Now this game is a very good game. I'm surprised I didn't put it high on the list, but there are better games than this. The only bad things that I don't like about this game is that it is very hard. It's hard to know where you want to go. Also, collecting those temple keys were pretty annoying. But overall, it's a very good Metroid game. I love the whole dark world, light world kind of theme, just like in Link to the Past. I love that kind of theme where you go between two different worlds to solve puzzles. And there is a lot of puzzle solving in this game, and fans really like it, and some people even think it's the best Metroid game. But the only reason I don't like it, like I said, collecting all those temple keys and the hardness factor. Anyway, at number 4 we have Metroid Fusion. Now, Metroid Fusion was on Game Boy Advance. It came out the same day as Metroid Prime, which I'll talk about later. And Metroid Fusion was a great game. You don't have your Various suit anymore. Instead, you get attacked by the X Parasite, and you have like a Metroid. You actually get to play as almost a Metroid, because the vaccine of the X virus was the remains of the baby, and you get to turn into this awesome like Metroid type of suit, where instead of shooting the ice beam, you have ice missiles, because you can't shoot out ice beams because ice is the Metroid's weakness. And there's also a bunch of other cool things like the bosses, like I said, Nightmare, who also appears in Metroid Other M. Also, this is the scariest game of the series, with the SAX following you, and you always are feeling watched, and you act stealth mode sometimes, and there are some times where you encounter SAX and you have to like run for your life, and it's terrifying. But anyway, at number 3 we have Metroid Prime. Now you guys probably will hate me because of this, but to be honest, I actually don't think Metroid Prime is the best game. Like, it was revolutionary. It made Metroid 3D, and it was great. I have to say, it was very revolutionizing Metroid, but to be honest, I feel like it was just Metroid, but in 3D. There was nothing special about it. No new power-ups, no new, nothing, but it was a bit cool to have like a first-person perspective of Samus and seeing all those great details, and it is probably it is actually my favorite GameCube game, just because of how beautiful it looks, and I love it so much. It is really just a great game, but the only thing that I don't like about it is getting all the Chozone artifacts, and it's so annoying backtracking. In this game, they use backtracking so much in this game. That's why it's at number 3. But anyway, at number 2, we have Metroid Prime 3, Corruption. Now, this game I really liked a lot. They had voice acting. You got to see the other hunters, kind of like in Metroid Prime Hunters, but this time it was better. It was in 3D. And so what happens is that your suit gets corrupted by Dark Samus, but somehow you're the only one who survives, and your other hunters actually get corrupted and are not able to survive. And I said this before, the Hyper Beam is awesome, but you have to inject an energy tank. I said this in my top 10 Metroid power-ups or items. And it is just such a great game, and with the motion controls of the Wii, it's just so great. The artwork is great also. I loved everything about it. And I mean, they didn't really introduce anything new, but hyper mode was pretty awesome, I have to say. And yeah. Anyway, at number 1 we have Super Metroid. Now you guys probably know this because if you guys have been watching my Let's Play of Super Metroid, I did say I think that this is my favorite Metroid game, and it just brought so much to the Metroid series, bringing you able to shoot in 8 directions, being able to have the screw attack, all these different types of weapons. You got the speed booster, got a bunch of others that I can't even think of. But yeah, it had some awesome bosses too. I love the Ridley boss battle. Same thing in Metroid Prime. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, I mean, this was a great game. It had a great story. Trying to get the baby, and then finding out that the baby actually grows up and saved your life. Tries to kill you, but then saves your life at the end. Also, you get to fight Mother Brain once again, like in the original Metroid. But this time, she has a second form, which is amazing, and the final boss is great. I love the final boss of this game, but just everything about it, the platforming, everything. Like, the graphics are amazing for the SNES. It was just such a great game. Also, I love the music in this game. But yeah, it's just such a great game, and there's so many this is like the best game to also speed run. Very great game. They also introduced new tactics like wall jumping, and like jumping while speed boosting will make you jump and speed boost, and you can hit the wall. And there's so many ways to beat this game actually, if you watch the speed runs, and it's amazing what you can do with this game. But yeah, so that is my top 10 Metroid games. My favorite Metroid game is Super Metroid, and the rest, you know. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what top 10 Tuesday you would like to see next week. But until then, make sure to stay tuned right here on Tell Nick for more Top 10 Tuesdays. Bye.